guys, if you're new to Deception Bites, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go. Okay guys, it is Wednesday, October 16th, and it is 9:49 p.m. Eastern Time. So let's get into the news because there is plenty of it tonight. I'm sure you have been hearing a little bit of the buzz today from different things. Anyway, let's get right into that. But first, I just want to thank a few people, and I want to thank Dr. and hope I'm not massacring your moniker. I know you've been a listener for a long time. I've seen your comments and so forth from the very beginning. So, but Dr. Debo Cherry, or it could be Deb O Cherry, I'm not sure. But anyway, let me know how you pronounce that correctly. And she is a new Patreon supporter. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And the following are coffee donors. B. Bell, she's a longtime listener as well. And she said, pray for protection for our president, Trump, his family and supporters. Pray that the plans of the enemy backfire in Jesus' name. I think that is a good prayer for all of us who are believers to be praying. Certainly, we do need to be praying now more than ever, because I'll tell you, if ever an assassination was possible, it's now, because they are backed into the corner and they are like rabid animals right now. They don't care if what they're saying is true. Well, they never have cared about that, but we definitely need to be praying for our president. And also from Bobby Garner, and he's a longtime listener. And Bobby, don't be afraid to leave comments. It doesn't mean that, you said that you were hesitant to leave comments because it was, I had so many comments to look through, but no, I don't look at it that way at all. And I always remember your comments as being very comical and very witty. So please feel free to comment. And also from an Anon who obviously wants to remain an Anon, or they wouldn't put that as their name, and also another Anon. So thank you so much, you guys. You make this program possible. You really do. And also thank you, snail mailers. I got something from Bev Blanchard from Ottawa, Ontario. So she's not that far from me. She's in the capital of Canada. And she is an Ojibwe and Belarusian Canadian, and she does art, beautiful art. And she sent me a bit of her artwork on the card that she sent me. Let me see over here so I can make sure you're seeing this. It is absolutely beautiful, the detail. And she has a, if you go to Beverly Blanchard blogspot.com. I guess she has a web page there. So if you're interested in any of her art, she is an Ojibwe Indian, Belarusian Canadian residing in Ottawa, Canada. She completed, this was completed in watercolor. This card is hand painted with love and invites the viewer to enter into the picture and allow their imagination to explore. Very beautiful, and check her out. All right, and let's go back over here. And also from Patricia A. from Anderson, Missouri, she sent this beautiful necklace and a little card. It was for my birthday. It was a very, very late birthday, but hey, who cares about it being late? Not me. So this is the necklace. Let me go over here. It is a little wishbone, and it's beautiful, and I love it. I love it. So thank you so much. I don't know how I attract all these kind people. I don't know, but I'm telling you, the people here on this channel are extremely kind-hearted. I'll tell you that much. So let's go back now, and the last thing is from Andrew Z. Or in Canada, we call it Zed. In the United States, you call it Z. He is from Hamburg, New York. And thank you for the kind words and the information you sent. I'm still looking it over. I haven't had a chance to really dig in and look at what is there, but I will. So there you go. Thank you again, all you people that have contributed in different ways. It means a lot to me, and it means that I don't have to rely on YouTube for monetization because, well, that won't happen because of the subject matter. So anyway, let's go on here and get into the news because I'm sure you're about ready for that. Okay, well, let's start at the beginning. And hang on. All right. So this is from Flag and Cross. I have never seen this website before, but, and this was published on October 14th, but it seems like, you know, a real website. I mean, it seems like a, you know, they're getting the information that I've looked through seems accurate. So, but let's look at this. ICYMI, Glenn Beck drops audio evidence showing DNC colluded with Ukraine to help Hillary. Hillary, not Trump. Isn't this kind of a big deal? Yeah, it's a freaking huge deal. But you know how dishonest our mainstream media is. They don't care about reporting the news anymore. They care about propaganda and politicizing everything. That's what they do. That's never been their job, but I guess it is now in this new America. I don't know how long this has been going on, at least since the 60s. So let's see. Well, Ukraine was trying to help Hillary Clinton defeat Donald Trump. Isn't this something the mainstream media should want to cover? You'd think so, right? Too bad they aren't honest, and the uninformed will remain uninformed. This is the problem with the media. They only report on issues they want to report on. There's no such thing as journalistic integrity with the vast majority of journalists today. And it all starts in the schools. Sorry, I'm getting a... All right, I've got my ringer turned off, but I heard the little buzz there, so I had to turn it over to see who it was, because you never know, it could always be an emergency. All right, so yeah, and it all starts in the schools. If far-left teachers are telling kids that America is bad and Republicans are scum, the impressionable are going to believe it. And if the kids have equally far-left parents at home, game over. Anyway, here's Glenn Beck. Okay, now it says, has Adam Schiff committed fraud and treason concerning the Trump probe? Well, yes, I would say absolutely. So, excuse me while I get my Acme Cat Be Gone. Poor little Xander. He's got a little infection in his eye. I'm not sure where that came from, but I hate to spray him, but my couch won't stand too much more of his nails. All right. So, yes, I do believe that he should be... I think that he committed fraud and treason, and I think he should be held responsible. And I think probably the majority of you do as well. The Blaze has released an audio recording that they recently obtained that appears to show Artem Sintik, director of the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, admitting that he tried to boost the presidential campaign of Hillary Clinton by sabotaging then candidate Donald Trump's campaign. The connection between the Democratic National Committee, DNC, and the Ukrainian government was veteran Democratic operative Alexandra Chalupa, who had worked in the White House Office of Public Liaison during the Clinton administration and then went on to work as a staffer, then as a consultant for Democratic National Committee, Politico reported. And let's scroll down here. It says, I don't know how, but the Americans got an audio recording of Mr. Sinnik's conversation, he is resting with his family and friends and discussing how he would like to help Hillary. At Glenn Beck reveals the Ukraine transcript the media isn't talking about. And why would they? If it's pro-Trump and against Hillary, they're not going to want to bring that up. They want to keep the narrative the way it is, that Trump has committed some heinous crime in asking the Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden, when in fact they were already investigating Joe Biden months before that call even took place. And they took little snippets from the conversation and put them together with other snippets to make it seem as if he was asking them to investigate Joe Biden, when really that was not the case. I mean, he was saying, Joe Biden's name was mentioned, but they were already looking into it. And there was no, you do this for us and we'll do this for you. There was none of that at all. So anyway, here's Glenn Beck saying, I don't know how, but the Americans got an audio recording of Mr. Sidnick's conversation. He is resting with his family and friends, discussing how he would like to help Hillary. Glenn Beck reveals the Ukraine transcript the media isn't talking about. And let's listen to this, because I think it's important. All right.
First of all, in April, former Prosecutor General Lysenko, the good guy, remember, that came in after the bad guy was taken out? He decides to give an interview with Ukrainian media. And in that interview, he makes a stunning comment. Quote, I don't know how, but the Americans got an audio recording of Mr., how do you say his name? Sitnik, of his conversation. Now, that's the guy who ran the Anti-Corruption Bureau. He was resting with his family and friends now and discussing how he'd like to help Hillary. Oh. So the guy who's in charge of the anti-corruption, they caught him on tape talking about how he'd like to. Well, let me play it for you. Now, this is the first time, strange because it's been out in the newspapers in Ukraine. This is the first time that we know of that this has been translated by anyone in the media in English. I just want you to listen. Now, the speaker you're going to hear is Director Sitnik, and this is what he said. Listen.
Я думаю, что да. Я же ему тоже помогу, ему, а Хиллари помогла. Нет, это так пишут. Мне кажется, Хиллари
Clinton Foundation.
Нет, Трамп же ні. Він чисто, в нього внутрішні питання домінують над зовнішніми. А Хіларі це якби це із тих політиків, що вони гегемонія Америки в світі. Для нас це так лучше. А для американців лучше так. Це дуже Трамп робить. Ми ж оприлюднили в стані про Манафорта, якого посадили. Манафорт ж був керівник цього вищого штабу Трампа. Я ж тоді це сторонили час, в тому числі за те, що проводили початок волонтерів, посадили там, що 80 років допомогли. Для Трампа барабан, тому що система працює чітко. І коли це були вибори, за неділю до виборів, FBI поновило розслідування відносно Хіларі. Вони рейтинг упав на 7%, і Трамп на тяжкою перебіг.
Hopefully you guys are able to read this.
Я таки не можу поняти, що Трамп воює з FBI, і коли вони його доганяють. Якби не FBI, то він не був президентом. Вони Хіларі погасили рейтинг на 7%.
Wow, that seems pretty kind of wow.
Yeah, that's for sure. Why isn't this being talked about? That's what I'd like to know. It should be. It should be everywhere. I'm really getting sick of them keeping the things that we should know from us because they want to shove their agenda down our throat. But let's go back. We've got a lot to get to. And let me just get out of these and get back here. And let's go on. Yeah, this is one of those things that's a little bit, I think I'm going to have to whitelist this in order to see it. Oh, darn it. Hang on. All right. Okay. So, Liz Warren, hang on here. Look at all these car things because I've been looking for a car, and that's what comes up everywhere. Cars everywhere. Liz Warren once eulogized a man by accusing him of sexual harassment in front of his children. Who goes to a funeral and gives a eulogy and accuses the dead man of sexual harassment in front of his grieving children? Who does that? Elizabeth Warren. That's who. Hang on here. Let me get past all these cars. Massachusetts Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren once eulogized a former colleague by accusing him of sexual harassment in front of his ex-wife and children, according to a profile of the presidential candidate in the Washington Post. Warren, who got her first full-time teaching job at the University of Houston, returned to campus 15 years later to deliver a eulogy for UH law professor Eugene Smith. Smith was a champion of Warren, according to the Washington Post, and specifically requested she speak at his funeral after he passed away from polio complications. However, during her eulogy, Warren reportedly stunned funeral attendees when she told what was meant to be a lighthearted story about Smith chasing her around his office. From Washington Post. With a smile on her face and humor in her voice, Warren described how Smith had invited her to his office one day just a few months after she had been hired. He shut the door and lunged for her, she said, and as she protested, he chased her around his desk before she was able to escape out the door. John Mixon, a former UH law professor, described the crowd as slack-jawed at the eulogy and added that the story didn't even seem plausible given Smith's limited mobility due to the polio. To have this image of him chasing her around the desk, it was just comical, and she told the story without rancor, Mixon said. Smith's ex-wife and 3 children were present at the funeral. In 2017, Warren told the story again, but this time describing it as a Me Too moment during an interview with NBC News and 3 other female senators. Yes, I have a Me Too story too, Warren said. I was a baby law professor and so excited to have my first real teaching job. So let's hear it the way she says it.
The Harvey Weinstein story has brought to light the ugliness, the humiliation, and perhaps most of all the prevalence of sexual harassment and assault. Many of us, men mostly, were not aware or chose not to be aware of how common this kind of behavior apparently is. So we decided to do something different here in Meet the Press this week. We asked every female member of the United States Senate, all 21, if they had stories that they wanted to share about sexual harassment. 4 senators, all Democrats, said yes and told us of experiences early in their careers. Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, Claire McCaskill of Missouri, Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota, and Mazie Hirono of Hawaii. Here now are their stories.
He's chasing me around the desk, trying to get his hands on me.
Pretty much put his finger in my face and he said, men will always beat their wives and you can't stop them. He said, well, did you bring your knee pads? We need to put a stop to this.
Do you think anybody ever sexually harassed Mazie Hirono? I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't believe Elizabeth Warren at all. It's actually pretty difficult to believe her about anything at this point. Pocahontas. She continued, this senior faculty member who, would tell dirty jokes and make comments about my appearance. And one day he asked me if I would And one day he asked me if one day I would stop by his office. He slammed the door and lunged for me. It was like a bad cartoon. He's chasing me around the desk, trying to get his hands on me. And I kept saying, you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. I have little children at home. Please don't do this, Warren recalled. And at the same time, what was flickering through my brain was, if he gets hold of me, I'm going to punch him right in the face. Now, I don't know about you. I tend to believe a lot of women, and because their stories are very believable and they're told in such a way that you know it was traumatic for them. I'm not talking about actors such as Tudor Ford. I'm talking about real women that have been really harassed. But I do not believe this story for 1 minute. And who in their right mind would go to a man's funeral and, you know, say something like this, joking around, but then she's saying here, you know, for the Me Too thing, of course, you know, she's making it seem like it was so traumatic, but she's joking about it at a funeral? Like, what is wrong with this woman? Yeah, and she wants to be president. Warren said eventually she was able to escape from the situation and went back to her office and shook. She also claimed that she never said a word about the incident to anyone beside her best friend. Liar. She's a liar. She got up at his funeral and told everybody. The Boston Globe noted in an article shortly after the NBC News interview that it was not the first time Warren had spoke about the incident and questioned why the senator has treated the incident so lightly during her eulogy of Smith. It was 20 years later and he didn't have power over me anymore, Warren told the Globe about the eulogy, adding, I made it clear that I was just fine. Warren had contradicted herself when telling stories before, most notably when she claimed she was pushed out of her first teaching job because she was visibly pregnant. In a 2007 interview, Warren provided a different explanation for why she could not keep her job, suggesting she didn't have the proper credentials to teach full-time, which is the true story. She was not let go because she was visibly pregnant. And I don't believe that this man with polio, who had very limited mobility, chased her around his office. But maybe that's just me. Well, I'm popular tonight. Somebody else is calling now. All right. So let's go back here and let's go on. Now, oops, sorry. Okay, now this is interesting. More than 300 arrested in worldwide sting of largest dark web child sex abuse marketplace run by Bitcoin. Now, anyone that says nothing's happening, I have never seen so many pedophiles and child porn rings and trafficking rings brought down ever. It's like probably 1 or 2 a week that you see. It's unbelievable. So, and I do happen to believe that that is due to the Trump administration. I really do. Okay, accused include at least 5 Americans and 1 Briton. And it says this hidden site has been seized as a part of law enforcement operation by the United Kingdom, United States, Germany, and the Republic of Korea. With cooperation from our international partners, arrests have taken place in Australia, Brazil, Canada, Czech Republic, Finland, France, Hungary, and others that we can't get to. Hundreds of people were arrested around the world following an investigation into the largest dark web child sex abuse marketplace. Now closed, the website hosted more than 200,000 unique videos showing illegal sex acts committed against children, toddlers, and infants, according to an 18-page criminal indictment unsealed in Washington. That amounts to almost 8 terabytes of data containing child sex abuse images, which drove a Bitcoin-based marketplace with 7,300 transactions of the cryptocurrency worth more than $730,000. You may try to hide behind technology, Jesse Liu, Liu, the U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia, said during a press conference, "But we will find you and arrest you and prosecute you." That's good news. And it says the now shuttered English website Welcome to Video is said to have been started by South Korean national Jong Woo-sun, a 23-year-old who is currently serving an 18-month prison term in his home country for charges concerning child sex abuse images. It was online from June 2015 until March 2018 when U.S. authorities shut the operation down. Authorities said that many of the videos hosted on the website were previously unknown to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, a U.S. nonprofit set up by Congress to search for missing children and combat sex exploitation. The scale of this crime is eye-popping and sickening, said John Fort, the chief of IRS criminal investigations. The website was only run on the dark net, a section of the internet accessible by a Tor browser, and to hide their identities. It was one of the first to use cryptocurrency Bitcoin to make a profit from children's suffering. The dark net is set up in order to make tracking online footprints more difficult and to obscure who is accessing any particular data. The arrests were made in 38 countries, including the UK, Ireland, the US, South Korea, Germany, Spain, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, the Czech Republic, and Canada. They were sparked by an investigation by the National Crime Agency, NCA, Britain's answer to the FBI, into one of UK's worst ever child offenders. 7 men have been already convicted in Britain, including 26-year-old Kyle Fox, who was jailed for 22 years in March for raping a 5-year-old boy and appearing on Welcome to Video, sexually abusing a 3-year-old girl. These people are really sick. Using specialist capabilities, investigators said that they were able to trace the son and the hundreds of users through their Bitcoin transactions. The arrests are the results of years hunting by the Nation Crime Agency, NCA, Britain's version of the FBI, which first came across Welcome to Video while investigating geophysicist Dr. Matthew Falder. Falder admitted 137 offenses in 2017, including encouraging child rape and sharing images of a newborn baby being abused, and is serving 25 years behind bars in the UK. In March last year, officers traveled to South Korea to help with son's arrest, take down the servers which supported his site. So there you go. Now, it looks like there is a lot of countries participating in this now and trying to take down these websites on the dark web and so forth that are, selling this material. Basically, that's what they're doing, and horrendous. I mean, it's bad enough, like children, but toddlers, babies, it's all really, really sick. I don't know. I mean, if you are prone to be attractive sexually to children, run. Don't walk. Run to your nearby priest, pastor, or psychiatrist, or your doctor. Seriously. I can't imagine. All right, let's go back, because there's more. There's always more. Now, and look at this. This is another one. This is from 2 days ago. Breaking, 12 people arrested in Michigan human trafficking bust. We're seeing this all the time now, which is good. I'm glad. The Genesee County Sheriff's Office Ghost Task Force has announced the arrest of 12 people in connection to human trafficking. The 12 people were all arrested and charged with child sexual abuse material, use of a computer to commit a crime, and accosting a child for immoral purposes. The arrests were part of the task force's latest phase in their ongoing operation targeting human trafficking. There have reportedly been 48 arrests since the Ghost Task Force was created a little more than 4 months ago. So this is all good. The more we get of these people off the street, it means there's that many less children being abused and scarred for life, because it does scar a child for life. Okay, let's go back. And let's get, all right, this is actually the same thing we just looked at, so I'm going to, all right, now, I think you'll find this interesting. No, really, I do. Okay, Omar funnels 30% of campaign cash to alleged boyfriend's firm. Nearly $150,000 in new payments went from Omar's campaign to E Street Group. Why hasn't she been arrested? Really? Why? I'd like to know. Approximately 30% of the money doled out by the campaign of Representative Ilhan Omar in the third quarter went to digital fundraising, communications, and advertising services provided by the E Street Group, a firm run by her alleged boyfriend. You know, the one that's married. Yeah, him. Omar's campaign committee, which raised a total of, I'm horrible at reading numbers. That's not... One, I don't know. I don't know what that number is. I'm so terrible at math, and yet it's weird because when they tested me, they said that I was like the top person that they'd ever seen with math abilities, but I think they must have had somebody else's test, because that's not me. Anyway, in the third quarter, and spent $1,389.80. I think this is $1,084,000. I don't know what it is. Isn't that terrible? I know. I'm showing my stupidity. I can't be good at everything. Come on now. The E Street Group, a firm run by political consultant Tim Minette, Omar's alleged lover, received more money from the campaign than any other vendor. The Omar campaign said the E Street Group, $149,812.64 between July 1st and September 30th. Its filings show the accounts for more than 30% of Omar's total campaign disbursements over the same period. Her campaign has over $1.5 million cash on hand. The payment represents a significant increase from previous spending on the group's services in the first two quarters. The first 6 months of the year, the campaign paid approximately $160,000 to the E Street Group. The $150,000 in new payments made over the last 3 months nearly matches that number. According to divorce papers filed by Beth Minette, the parties physically separated on or about April 7th, 2019, when defendant told plaintiff that he was romantically involved with and in love with another woman, Ilhan Omar. By way of example, days prior to defendant's devastating and shocking declaration of love for Representative Omar and admission of their affair, he and Representative Omar took the party's son to dinner to formally meet for the first time at the family's favorite neighborhood restaurant while plaintiff was out of town. The paper said Representative Omar gave the party's son a gift, and the defendant later brought her back inside the family's home. Well, he's just as stupid as she is. Who does that? Really? He's not got an ounce of sense in him. And obviously, not an ounce of decency or morality. Can you imagine? Your wife's out of town, and you use that as an opportunity to show off your girlfriend to your son, and then you bring her back to the house? I'm telling you, these people are pieces of work. So let me see. Okay, Minette has denied allegations of an affair, while Omar, well then why was he just at the Trump rally outside with the protests with Ilhan Omar? But he's denied allegations of an affair. who is in the process of divorcing her husband, has dodged questions about the situation. Omar's campaign did not respond to a request for comment on the payments by press time. Well, and of course they wouldn't. Because what are they going to say? What are they going to say besides lie? It's what she's good at. It's what a lot of them are good at. Okay, let's look at this now. No, really, let's. This is fresh off the press. This is today's news. The worst news for Joe Biden Tuesday had nothing to do with the debate. So let's take a look at this. Just as Joe Biden and the rest of the 11 Democratic contenders were rounding the final turn in the fourth presidential debate on Tuesday night, a bombshell dropped. No, not on stage in Westerville, Ohio, all the way back in Washington, D.C., where reports detailing how much each of the candidates raised, spent, and most importantly have left in the bank began to land at the Federal Election Commission. And the bombshell was this. Joe Biden, the former vice president of the United States and 2020 Democratic frontrunner from the day he entered the race officially in the spring, ended September with less than $9 million in the bank after spending more money than he raised in the previous 3 months. Siren. Then consider this. Biden's total cash on hand is less than all of his main rivals for the Democratic nomination, including even California Senator Kamala Harris, $10.5 million, who has dropped precipitously in polling over recent months. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, $33.7 million. He has more than 3 times more left to spend than Biden, while Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, $25.7 million, and South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg, $23.4 million, have well more than double Biden's total. Double siren. Why should these numbers cause panic? Or at least real concern for Biden. After all, money isn't everything in politics. Donald Trump won the Republican primary in 2016, spending a trifle of what people like Jeb Bush and even Ted Cruz did. True, money isn't always determinative. But what fundraising does signal, especially in a crowded and uncertain field with a few months left before anyone actually votes, is momentum and organic energy. Well, he doesn't have organic energy. He doesn't have energy at all. Anyway, think about it. Taking some of your hard-earned money and giving it to a candidate is one of the strongest signs of support you could possibly offer. You are saying, in essence, I believe in this person so much, I'm willing to invest in him or her. That's a big deal. So Biden's total cash haul, $15.7 million, isn't great. He was outraised by Sanders, Warren, and Buttigieg, but his burn rate, the amount he spent, is even more concerning. Biden spent more than $17.6 million, meaning $2 million more went out than came in, which is bad, but could be mitigated somewhat if Biden had previously stocked away a Scrooge McDuck-like set of gold coins. A Scrooge McDuck-like set of gold coins, or just plain dollar bills, that he could draw from to fund his efforts in the third fundraising quarter. Unfortunately for Biden, however, there is no store of gold doubloons. He spent more than he raised, and he has half or less of the cash on hand than his main rivals for the nomination. That's bad, stacked on bad, with bad slathered on top. Yes, it is. On a symbolic level, Biden's fundraising struggles are indicative of his broader issues with energizing board swaths of the Democratic base beyond the Black community, according to CNN's Frederica Schutten. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name. Small dollar donations, typically a sign of grassroots energy, accounted for less than 1/3 of Biden's total contributions in the third quarter. On a practical level, Biden's cash poor status will complicate his efforts to A, build and maintain top-level organizations in not only the four early voting states, but also the slew of states slated to vote on March, should be in March. Run the necessary TV. A, build and maintain top-level organization. Also, B, run the necessary TV ads in early states to reintroduce himself to voters. And C, raise more money to fund all these efforts because money is driven by momentum. Yes, Biden remains the best-known candidate in the field. And yes, because of that status, he has less introducing or reintroducing of himself to do to voters. So his cash situation isn't a death knell as it might be for some of his rivals. But make no mistake, Biden's fundraising situation is bad, and there's a few signs it's getting better. Well, it seems to me that somewhere today I came across the fact that Joe Biden is probably going to be dropping out, but I don't know where I read that, and I can't remember if it was somewhere that is, reliable source. It could have been on YouTube, not YouTube, but Twitter. And Twitter's not always a reliable source because you've got people's opinions there, and that's not what we're interested in here. So anyway, let's go back. No, really, let's. Now, look at this. No, really, look. Clinton Foundation linked fraudsters arrested. Clinton Foundation linked fraudsters arrested. Shady duo poised to rat out Bill and Hillary. This from the True Pundit. It says 2 of the Clinton Foundation's shady international partners have been arrested for fraud. And that should surprise no one. No one at all. And experts and law enforcement officials in the United States say this spells potential big trouble for Bill and Hillary Clinton and their own shady charity known as the Clinton Foundation. Authorities in India have arrested businessmen brothers Malvinder Singh and Shivinder Singh in an alleged fraud case, one of many linked to this duo. The Singh brothers are former promoters of Fortis Healthcare and Ranbaxy Laboratories and are no newcomers to sweeping allegations of fraud. It is believed untold millions of dollars in kickback were funneled by the brothers into the bank accounts of the Clinton Foundation for peddling fake HIV drugs to impoverished communities and children with the help of the Clintons. Just when you think they can't get any lower, they can. They can always get lower. Always. It's bad enough that they're like snakes crawling around on their bellies on the ground. No, they can get even lower than that. They're like cockroaches that can survive a nuclear winter. Really, you can't get rid of them. They just keep coming back. They're everywhere. The Clintons might have also siphoned millions of dollars from the alleged schemes into their personal bank accounts as well. Well, I can just about guarantee they did. That's what they do. You don't think that they're actually concerned with any humanitarian projects or funding. You really don't think that they would actually help people in need, do you? Of course not. They're all about, raping and pillaging and plundering. And the more poor they are, the easier they are to rape, pillage, and plunder, according to the Clintons. Anyway, Charles Ortel, the financial analyst who foretold the collapse of General Electric, said Monday that the arrest of the Singh brothers in India was more than significant to the case building against the Clinton Foundation. Ortel has been dodging the Clintons' charity for years now, with regular and fact-filled broadcasts on Crowdsource the Truth. In short, Ortel is the closest non-government authority of the many schemes cooked up by the Clintons and their trusty charity cartel. And that's what they are, charity cartel. That's an charity, Clintons, no. Ortel said the fear for the Clintons is that the Singhs will sing and rat out the intricacies of previous frauds, linked and illicit funds to and from the Clinton Foundation. One federal law enforcement source told the True Pundit on Tuesday that the wheels were already in motion to interview the brothers. Uh-oh. I bet you they're going to be found suicided. with a gunshot in the back of the head with the wrong hand. Just saying. Keep an eye out for it in the news. We know it'll happen unless they're taking extraordinary measures to keep these guys safe. Anyway, so FBI agents would likely be dispatched to India to begin a dialogue with the brothers and their legal reps, the source said, a new wrinkle in an old investigation into the rich stealing from the poor, as detailed here and other outlets. On a visit to Mumbai in April 2013, Bill Clinton praised Indian generic drug companies Ranbaxy and Cipla for their stellar contributions in the fight against the HIV/AIDS scourge. Their cheap drugs saved millions of lives, the former president said. The antiretroviral ARV drugs Ranbaxy sold were so cheap because they were frauds. The Clinton Foundation facilitated distribution of watered-down drugs by creating the necessary logistics, according to a report by now Senator Rep. Marsha Blackburn and her staff. These drugs subjected patients to increased risks of morbidity and mortality, the Justice Department said in its lawsuit against Ranbaxy. Clinton aide and magaziner approached Ranbaxy in 2002 with a proposition. They could put the developing countries together to form a sort of buying club that could ramp up economies of scale and lower costs, said Ethan Kapstein and Joshua Busby in their 2013 book, AIDS, Drugs for All. Ranbaxy was owned then by brothers Malvinder and Shivinder Singh, who had what Australian journalist Michael Smith calls a dodgy reputation. The Singh brothers sold their interest in Ranbaxy to a Japanese firm in 2008. Daiichi Sankyo sued them for concealing information about their many lapses in quality control. An Indian court ordered the brothers to pay Daiichi $385 million in damages. Initially, Ranbaxy's defective ARV drugs were distributed in 4 African and about a dozen Caribbean countries. Distribution of lower-cost generics manufactured in India was expanded to other developing countries after what became known as the Clinton Health AIDS Initiative negotiated a trade with the UnitAid Consortium, established in 2006 by Britain, Brazil, Chile, France, and Norway. UnitAid is financed chiefly by levies on airline tickets. The World Health Organization has suspicions about Ranbaxy in 2004. A whistleblower told the Food and Drug Administration in 2007 how the company fabricated data to win FDA approvals. The fraud was made public in a Justice Department filing in 2008. In 2012, the Justice Department banned Ranbaxy from selling in the U.S. drugs manufactured at several Indian plants. A month after Mr. Clinton's lavish praise for the firm, Ranbaxy pled guilty to criminal counts of selling adulterated drugs with intent to defraud. Who cares? It's just blacks dying. That's how a senior Ranbaxy executive dismissed concerns expressed by other executives the company was manufacturing defective medicines, Fortune magazine reported in a lengthy expose that month, May 2013. The whistleblower, Dinesh Thankar, said he tried to meet with Clinton Foundation officials, but they blew him off. And this is also making me think of something else, because the couple that died in Toronto were huge generic drug manufacturers. They headed the company Apotex, and that is a generic drug company in Canada. And they were involved with the Clinton Foundation, and they were involved in sending drugs to Haiti. So it was weird because they were found hanging from their, it's a huge house in Toronto, in a very, very expensive section in Toronto. And they had, I guess, like some hotels, they have the pool down below, and then they have, the floors above it. And this is how their home was. And they found them both hanging from the ceiling above the pool. Now, that had to be very, very high up. They would have needed special equipment. to get the bodies up there, and yet they ruled it a murder-suicide. Right. So anyway, nobody was satisfied, especially not their children, who have continued to hire private investigators to look into this. But I can bet you that their death had a lot to do with the Clintons, because, well, you do business with the Clintons and you'll be pushing up daisies before long, especially if you know anything that could harm them in any way. So yeah, they were involved in sending these drugs to Haiti. Apparently, from what I understood, the drugs were actually expired, but the company could write them off. And, you know, I don't know, there was a big scheme there. So this just makes me wonder that because this happened later on, so I'm just thinking, okay, they went through all this, they were doing it in Africa, you know, sending these aid drugs that were, you know, really subpar, and then they ended up making a deal with someone in Canada and did the same thing in Haiti. Anyway, interesting. The Clinton Foundation's India success story was an exercise in self-serving philanthropy, concluded the Blackburn report. The Indian firms involved soared in value. Executives of these firms made donations to the Clinton Foundation, and there were possible kickbacks in the form of $1 million consulting contracts to President Clinton from the friend of convicted felon and Ranbaxy advocate Rajat Gupta, the report said. The Clinton Foundation may have skimmed tens of millions of dollars from United levies on airline tickets. Clinton Foundation financial reports suggest, said Charles Ortel, a financial analyst who discovered major discrepancies in General Electric's financial reports between November 2006 and December 2008. United reported giving about $100 million more than Chai reported receiving, he said. Yeah, we have, you know, Trudeau giving tons of money to the Clinton Foundation that came from the backs of the Canadian taxpayers, and that doesn't bode well for him, I don't think. And also, you have Obama coming out and, you know, giving his support for Justin Trudeau, which, I mean, really, Canada's like up to here with him and very upset. Wherever you go, you can hear people about Trudeau. And so it's interesting that Obama, yeah, they were real close, if you get my drift. You know, it's odd that he is endorsing Justin Trudeau for prime minister, because we are right about to have a federal election here, and yet he hasn't endorsed anyone for president for 2020. He hasn't endorsed any of the Democratic contenders. I think that's a little odd. Why would he endorse someone for a Canadian election? Why indeed? Anyway, and perhaps his favorite little cuddle bunny hasn't thrown in his or her hat in the ring yet. Maybe that's why he's holding back and not endorsing anybody, any Democratic candidate, because the one that he will vote for is not, and support is not entered the race yet. I'm just saying. So let me just see here what else there is here. When Australia agreed to donate to Chai in 2006, the Clinton Foundation had just one staffer in the entire Asia-Pacific region, noted Australian journalist Michael Smith. Ruby Shang also was in charge of the Clinton Foundation's climate change initiative in the region. Clinton Foundation public disclosures are so bad, no outsider can know for sure how much money it may have made from its AIDS initiative, Mr. Ortel caveated. But Bill and Hillary and their partners appear to have helped themselves to tens of millions of dollars donated to help the desperately poor, he estimated. These people are worse than wicked. Really. I don't it's hard to believe that wickedness on this level even exists. It's hard for me to understand it because I want to believe everybody's just like me. Everybody, tries to do the right thing and tries to, but apparently that's not the case. It's just like when you interview the next door neighbor of a serial killer and they say, but he was such a nice guy. Really? Well, yeah, you think he's a nice guy because you're thinking that he conducts his business exactly as you conduct yours. And so you're not thinking that, gee, I think that guy is taking women into that house and murdering them. No, because you wouldn't do it, so you don't accuse him of doing it. You see what I'm saying? And it's kind of like that. It's like I look at these people and I think, it's beyond what I can even fathom. Really, it is. I cannot understand it. So the Clinton Foundation, hang on here. I think we may have, yes, we've finished it. So yeah, they helped themselves to these millions of dollars that were meant to help the poorest of the poor. And who else knows what they did? I'm thinking that probably a lot of children went missing from those African nations. They certainly did from Haiti. So, and it says this story is developing. So that is quite juicy, actually. Let's go back here. I think I may have to, well, maybe not. Maybe I can get to most of this anyway. Now, tomorrow is the 17th, and tomorrow is Trump Rally Dallas, the Trump rally in Dallas. Now, there's something, and I don't know, like 17th, it's on October 17th, and 17, of course, equals Q, the letter Q. Now, I know you can get too weird with all that stuff, and I fully get it. But this is interesting. What did Biden mean here? What did he mean? Now, let's go and listen to him. I know it's painful. Can you just, grit your teeth and get through it? Yeah, we can do it. Now listen.
Now is focus on Donald Trump.
Whoops. What happened there? Oh, here.
What I think is important is we focus on why it's so important to remove this man from office. On the 17th, look, the fact that George Washington.
See what he just said? On the 17th, and then he caught himself. On the 17th, and then he stops and he takes a completely different track. Why did he say that? Really? Why? Is there something happening on the 17th? Do they have something planned for the 17th? Or do they know what Trump has planned and are they scared? We got to do something before the 17th. Listen to it again.
What I think is important is we focus on why it's so important to remove this man from office. On the 17th, look.
See? On the 17th, and then it's like he's closing his eyes. It's a solid close, as if he's shutting it out. Because a lot of people will do that. They'll be talking about something, and if they shut their eyes, really, it's like they're shutting it out. Like, oops, no, never mind. Erase that. And then he takes off another direction.
The fact that George Washington worried on the first time he spoke after being elected president that what we had to worry about is foreign interference in our elections. It was the greatest threat to America. This president on three occasions, has invited foreign governments and heads of government to get engaged in trying to alter our elections. The fact is that it is outrageous. Rudy Giuliani, the president, and his thugs have already proven that they, in fact, are flat lying. What we have to do now is focus on Donald Trump.
No, actually, Joe Biden, what is actually outrageous is you. You are outrageous. Now, I'm not sure. This was taken just recently, and may even have been at the Democrat debate. I'm not sure why they put this in black and white. I'm not sure. But anyway, That's what Biden said, and I'm a little bit curious. Why did he say on the 17th? Said, now listen, on the 17th, and then he completely switches. Something to that. I'm telling you, there's something to that. And there's a lot of chatter out there by people that have in the past had intelligence, true intelligence, information that are saying that. Now, I'm just throwing this out there as what they're saying, okay? I'm not saying this is going to happen. I don't know how I feel about this, but many are saying that JFK Jr. will be present there. Now, I have looked, I know a lot of people get really upset when I say that, and they said, oh, you're bringing, shame on the whole movement because it's so ridiculous. I agree. It is ridiculous. But if you look at the evidence that's out there, it's pretty overwhelming. And I know people say, but Q said no, he's not alive. Well, Q also said that disinformation is necessary. They wouldn't have wanted that to come out before its time. So, and think of it, JFK was killed in Dallas. And this is where the Trump rally is on the 17th. I don't know, but Biden sure knows something. He does. So I guess, the 17th is coming up pretty quick. Like it's going to be here in another hour and 10 minutes. So, we don't have long to wait. Well, not that I think it's going to happen after midnight. I think whatever's going to happen will happen at the rally. But we also need to pray for his protection there because I think if any of these guys could harm him or do away with him, they would in a heartbeat and never think twice about it and not even lose any sleep over it, which is, a little scary. Now, this, I think I'm going to leave this for another day, but I wanted to just let you know that another New York Police Department sergeant has killed himself in his Queens home. Now, as I've stated before, I don't believe that these people are just deciding to kill themselves. I just don't. There's too many of them. And I hope that at some point we'll know what actually happened there. All right, now I wanted to show you guys this before I end. And it says, this is by True Reporting, and he's responding to this that Donald Trump sent out. And he says, do you think they like me? And the meeting that they had about, pulling out of Syria and so forth, these three people were sitting right directly across him. Look at their faces. Look at this face. If looks could kill. That is just pure, unadulterated hatred. And here's Nancy Pelosi. She's kind of like I really think that she's just caught in the crosshairs right now. She knows that she's going to be in big, big trouble if they don't get Trump out. But she's just kind of, lost, I think. And, when she came out and said, oh, Donald had a meltdown and that's why we all left. No, she was the one that had the meltdown. Yeah. And this is another one by Donald J. Trump. He said, I'm fighting for the American people, but the Democrats' sole focus is fighting against me with their fraudulent witch hunt. Go to stopthemadness.gop and tell Democrats in Congress that enough is enough. And I would invite everybody to do that. Stopthemadness.gop. So www.stopthemadness.gop. And let them know what we think. So it says, stop the madness. The Democrats have officially lost it. The Democrat-led impeachment inquiry is not based on facts. It solely stems from their political vendetta. Yes, yes, it does. And I think we are all aware of that now. And of course, this one right here, and I'm not going to get to this now, but just basically touching on it. Like I said earlier, that Obama had endorsed Justin Trudeau, but isn't it interesting about the blackface scandal? Of course, Trudeau called it brownface, right? And Barack Obama seems okay with that. Does that seem odd to anybody but me? I'm thinking that it seems a little odd. Now, let me see here. It says Representative Kevin McCarthy, the president wasn't investigating a campaign rival. The president was trying to get to the bottom, just as every American would want to know, why did we go through 2 years? Why did we have this Russian hoax? There was nothing that the president did wrong. Well, we all know that. I think we all believe that, but the Democrats know that too. They do. They're not that stupid. I mean, they're corrupt. They're absolutely reprobate. They're wicked. But I don't know if they're stupid. Some of them are. Yeah, I agree. Some of them are. Like, you know, you look at Maxine Waters and I don't know what it is that she does with her eyes, but all right. And this from Charlie Kirk, only Democrats could hold secret impeachment hearings in basements, storm out of meetings with the president, try and overturn the results of an election, and claim Donald Trump is the one who is hiding something, acting unhinged, and subverting our democracy. Yeah, it seems pretty ludicrous, doesn't it? Yeah, very ludicrous. And this, again, from Donald Trump, because, you know, they come out of this meeting and said, oh, Donald Trump had a hissy fit, or whatever they said. It was something basically along those lines. And then Donald Trump posts this. You know, I love this guy. I love him because he is the master troller and he makes me laugh. And a lot of people just do not get the humor. They don't get the humor. Like, to me, this is hysterical. You know, they go out and they start blabbing, oh, we had to leave the meeting because, you know, Donald Trump was losing it. And he posts this, Nervous Nancy's unhinged meltdown. Yeah, and there she is, definitely melting down. And see, he's right across the table from Chuck Schumer, giving him the old evil eye, the stink eye there. And yeah, not a friendly room. Not at all. So, I don't know. I appreciate Trump's sense of humor. But, yeah, I'm going to stop there. I do have some other things, but I'm going to stop there for now. And, I don't know. It's almost 11 o'clock. I don't know if I'll do another video tonight or not. I do have a couple phone calls to return. But if I have the energy, I might. But please don't wait around for it. I hate it when people are waiting, and then if I don't do it, I feel so guilty. So anyway, we'll leave it there. And thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys more than you will ever know. I get quite the laugh out of your comments as well. So thank you so much. Stay safe, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth, because deception bites. It does.